Hello and welcome. Today's video I am going to do a sort of basic explanation of the cello and what parts it has and what it's called. I've done a couple of quizzes for all you Instagram followers out there that's following my page about different names and guessing what it's actually called on the cello. So it inspired me and also after a lot of questions about the cello to make this video. So I hope you enjoy it, and here we go about very geeky, well, it's not so geeky, but info that maybe you didn't know about a cello. So we're gonna start off with the end pin, or spike as it's called. Self-explanatory what it does. It helps carrying the instrument when you're playing. This is not something that was always there on a cello. It's something that was added on later for more modern cello playing. So if you're a Baroque player, you actually don't use the spike, or well, if you're trying to be true to the style, you use it like this and don't use it. As a modern cellist like me, I find it really hard, and I enjoy the benefits a lot from having spike, and that's mostly what orchestra musicians and soloists do, use a spike. But I know there's cellists out there that don't, but this is, I think I can safely say, considered to be the norm. It goes into the cello body, so it actually disappears straight in here, so it's like maybe that far in, and then obviously you can extend almost as much as you want or need. After that, you have the saddle that's here that carries the thread to the tailpiece. So the tailpiece of this dark wood black thing, and not all tailpieces has fine tuners like this one, but this one does. So fine tuning, name explains it. You can fine tune the note height of the strings because they are connected to where the strings are attached. Moving on from the tailpiece, you get a little bonus sort of thing, and that is that this is called a sordine. It's not part of the cello, but almost all instrumentalists that plays a string instrument has one or should have one. You put it on your bridge, that I'm gonna soon go describe, like this, and that mutes the note a little bit more. So you can hear how it's a little bit more crispy when you don't have the sword on, or the sordine. So the bridge is a very vital part. Well, all the parts are very vital in the cello, but the bridge is always a thing that you stare a lot at when you're playing. Maybe it's only me, but the bridge carries the vibrations from the string down into the cello body that makes it ring, and therefore creates the sound. And those are different bridges, but I would say there are two types that are the most common ones, and that is Belgian bridges, and that is quite thin, tall bridges, or they're more and they provide a crispier sound, sort of. But you usually pick your bridge and the sound type you think will fit best with the instrument, based on the instrument. But the other quite common one is called the French bridge. So that's a little bit fatter, a little bit wider. Maybe it produces a more warmer sound. But yeah, that's a very quick info about bridges. Then here you have the F holes, or the sound holes. Part of the design of the cello, it helps bring out the sound more. Then you have the fingerboard, and it's not much more to say about the fingerboard. Obviously very, very helpful to have. And here's a lot of meat and potatoes of the cello. So these are called pegs, and the pegs goes into this peg box. Actually, it's called a peg box. And what you do is that you stick in the string into the peg that has a little hole in it, and you screw it to tighten it. And that obviously tightens the string and creates this tension that makes it able for me to play on it. So the whole thing is actually called a scroll. This is the scroll. The whole head is the scroll. Usually it's just carved out like this. I think it's just from tradition, and it is very beautiful, so I don't complain. Also, a little bonus thing again. This little thing here, it's called a nut. So the nut actually lifts up the strings a little bit above the fingerboard. So it does have clearance here in first position to actually, work. Without the nut, it wouldn't work as well. So the rest of the cello is like, here you have the sides, you have the C-shaped side here, and obviously you've seen sort of the lid of it. It looks like that, and then you have the back. It looks like this. You can see it bulges out a little bit. And that brings me to the final item on the cello that is very important and that not too many people actually know about. And that is a sound pin. So the sound pin is actually inside the box. So you have the sound pin. It's right here. It actually is a pin that goes straight through, lifts up the lid, and it's contacting the back of the cello. And basically where that has a huge influence of how a cello sounds, because it helps the vibrations to spread out across the body. And you can actually, if you move it just a couple of millimeters, it actually changes the sound that gets produced from your strings. I find that really cool. It also helps out lifting up the entire body. So I've heard and seen, and luthiers have talked about this, that this is several kilos pressing down here. And even on violin bodies, they're technically so sturdy, or like they're so used to having pressure on them. So you could never do this, but I've heard it from luthiers saying that you could technically almost stand on a violin body and it won't collapse. That doesn't mean that they're very sensitive instruments. They are, and like an eggshell, obviously you can just crush it if you do it from the right angle. But it's really amazing how much sort of engineering and pressure this actually takes. And it's as bad as taking off the strings from a cello, not having the pressure on here, as it would be like to, it's not helping, because the cello can then move and expand a little bit, and wood is a living material, so you need this pressure to keep this all together, basically. All right, I think that's most of it. There's probably a lot of more details that I could talk about, but I want it to be as sort of quick and easy to understand as possible. I'm gonna now move on to the bow. So here is my cello bow. It consists of not as many complicated parts as the cello, but here you have the screw. This is called a frog. And here's the hair, and this is a stick, and this is the point of the bow. The point of the bow, or the tip of the bow, usually has some kind of protective material under the tip, because it's a very well carved out piece of wood, and it's easy to break this tip if you're not careful. The stick is a lot of work and craftsmanship just behind the stick itself. In the old days, I don't remember what wood they use for this, but in the old days, to create this good tension in the bow, I know that you have to obviously first carve this out, but to get this tension, you need to sort of create that over some kind of heat source. So I think they did it over fire and started drying it and tensing it to get the right shape from it. I'm probably going to be corrected if any luthier sees this video, and please tell me in the comments if it's done in a different way, or if I'm a little bit off with it. But generally, that's how the stick is created. And as with building a cello, it's a very, very time-consuming process, and it is a craftsmanship. So to be able to even have a bow that you like and it's good is a privilege. But here's something that not many cellists or instrumentalists actually show, and that is that the screw is something that you can take out like this. And the frog is loose like this. So what it is actually, there's a little piece of metal here that you can screw the screw into, and that moves the frog that way to tighten it or that way to loosen it. So you stick it in, and now it's very loose, as you can see, and you screw in the screw, and it tightens the bow like this. Point of that is because you can't have this hair tightened all the time, because that would stretch it out so much so it won't be usable, and it's very expensive to rehair a bow. So what you do is that you loosen it to get it loose, and then when you play, you tighten it, and then this happens. And then you can, with the right tension, you can grab onto the string and create music. Also, you do need some rosin, and that's just making the hair more sticky, so you can grab onto the string better. And as I said, when you're done, you always unscrew it like this and store it away for next time you play. So that summarizes the bow and almost everything. And I realized one more thing that I could say about the cello that's quite cool, that I didn't know about for quite a while. And that is that the cello like has its bass somewhere on the box, and that is that the bass notes, the bass part rings more here, and the treble rings more up here. I just found that a pretty cool fact to know about as well. So yeah, I hope you found this helpful and that you enjoy learning more about cello and its parts and everything. I appreciate it a lot if you do subscribe and follow me on Instagram, and comment, share, like the video, helps me out a lot. And super humbled of all of you that are already here. It's amazing how this community has grown more now, to just enjoy music and talk about it. And yeah, I'm extremely humbled and extremely thankful for every one of you being here. Just want to say that again. Sorry if you're a bit tired of hearing it. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.